everyone. Welcome to today's episode of High Performance by the Word. I'm Pastor Hpbtw, your host on this program. We've been talking about the importance of value creation, which is very important in becoming relevant in our world today. Today we'll be looking at a very, very important topic that is very key and that's very pivotal and fundamental to value creation. We'll be looking at leadership. But we'll not be looking at leadership from the conventional perspective. We'll be looking at leadership as in leading for execution. And the reason we're looking at it from that perspective is because the primary job of every leader is to get things done. We'll get quickly on this subject when we come back from the break. Welcome back. I had earlier said we'll be looking at the subject of leadership, but not from the conventional perspective. We'll be looking at it from the perspective of execution. In other words, leading for execution. Because the primary job of the leader is getting things done. And not just getting things done, but getting things done on time. And so we'll be looking at leadership from this perspective. You'll remember in Matthew chapter 20, reading from verse 26, Jesus introduced the concept of the servant leader. In other words, the leader is called to serve. The leader has to be hands-on. And so to handle and treat this topic with me today, I have on set Deaconess Hpbtw. Deaconess Hpbtw is the present chairperson, referee, Taekwondo Federation. She's also the chief coach, Plateau State Taekwondo Association, and also currently working on a PhD program. So she's in a very fit position to discuss this topic of leadership with me. Deaconess Ife, you're welcome to today's program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. We just said that leadership is hands-on. The leader has to be in place primarily to get things done. Can you tell us what really is leadership? Why is the primary responsibility of the leader to get things done? Why must the leader be hands-on?
Thank you, Pastor, for
Yes.
the opportunity to be on set with you.
Yes.
First and foremost, we need to understand the concept of leadership. Leadership is the ability of a person or people to influence, to guide people. It can be members of an organization, business community, among others. Leadership is a process of guiding and directing people to achieve a set goal or a vision. Leadership is stewardship. You earlier said that. Leadership is a place, is a position of service, is a position of sacrifice. If you read the account of Genesis 39, verse 1 to 5, where Joseph, and the account of Joseph's life was actually told from the Bible perspective. It said that Joseph was a slave, a servant in the house of Potiphar. Yet the Bible said he was prosperous and an effective man. From being a slave and a servant, he rose to the position of being an overseer in the house of Potiphar. That is the servanthood of leadership. The book of Daniel, chapter 12, from verse 3, it says that, and they that are wise, they shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness, as stars forever and ever. From the Christian perspective, Christians are stewards to the gospel of Jesus Christ. We have the divine mandate to take this gospel to people of the earth, to teach them the message of reconciliation. That is what leadership is, a place of service. And you cannot walk with God and go unrewarded. Furthermore, leadership involves a lot of attributes or components. Leadership involves making good decisions decisions that at times can be difficult or challenging, but it's a decision as a leader that you must make. Leadership involves creating and articulating clear vision, because as a leader, you must have vision for your organization, for the people you are leading. Leadership involves establishing clear targets, achievements for your people. Leadership also involves ensuring that all the tools required to achieve these targets, these visions, are available. If you read the book of Psalm 119 from verse 130, it said, the entrance of the word of God, it said, giveth light and understanding to the simple. And that is saying, from God's perspective and from our perspective as believers, the word of God makes the difference in every situation. Be it in this making decisions, no matter how challenging it is for you as a leader, be it in establishing goals, vision for your organization, be it in providing an enabling environment, tools, materials required to achieve your vision, to achieve your targets. The word of God makes the difference. And that is why our man of God said, he said, all that you ever need, he said, is wrapped up in the word.
Yes.
Go for the word of God.
Thank you, Deaconess. From the things you just shared with us now, you've said leadership is service, leadership is sacrifice. But there are people who believe that a leader has to be forceful, a leader has to be commanding, a leader has to be manipulative, a leader has to be tough. Simply put, leadership is commanding and controlling. Is that very effective in leadership?
Leadership is not commanding, is not controlling. Qualities of a good leader: boldness, self-confidence. You have to be bold enough to communicate your vision. You have to be bold enough to communicate your targets, what you intend to achieve. You have to be a good communicator in order to stand out as a good leader. You have your vision statement, it has to be clear. You have to have a sound management skills, managing people, because you have to understand people. The uniqueness of a leader is the ability to manage people. Everybody is unique in his or her way.
Yes.
So individual difference sets in, but the Spirit of God gives us wisdom. The Word of God gives us clarity on how to go about every aspect of our leadership.
Yes.
So a good and effective leadership must have a good management skill. A good and effective leadership must be thorough in organization, must be thorough in record keeping, because you can't afford to be careless. An effective leadership also have to be open. There should be an openness to change. An effective leadership have to, at times, take decision, even though that it will not be okay with some people you are, but you have to take a decision.
Yes.
For the success and for the betterment of the people you are leading and for the organization also.
Thank you. You know, when I introduced this subject, I said we will not be looking at leadership from the very common perspective, but we're looking at it from the standpoint of getting things done. We say the primary job of a leader is getting things done. In other words, the leader is responsible
Yes.
for the achievement
Yes.
of the purpose. Because many people think it is not in the place of the leader to ensure that things are done. In other words, follow through. A leader doesn't have to be hands-on. A leader is just to delegate. All a leader is to do is to delegate. I have people working for me, that makes me a leader. But we are saying, and from the things you're sharing, a leader has to be hands-on.
Yes.
He has to follow through.
Yes.
He has to get things done.
Yes.
And if things don't happen the leader is to blame.
Yes.
That means it will be wrong for any leader to blame subordinates
Yes.
when things don't happen.
Yes.
Can you throw more light on this?
Leadership, I said earlier, is a place of sacrifice.
Yes.
And is a place of service. A good leader takes responsibility. And that is why you have to drive your vision to you across. You have to motivate the people to do so. You are the vision carrier.
Wow.
You are the vision bearer.
Wow.
So it's your responsibility to communicate it well. It is your responsibility to inspire them, to motivate them to do it.
Wow. Did you hear that? It's the responsibility of the leader to get things done. It's the responsibility of the leader to communicate the vision effectively so that everyone working with the leader will run with it. So much about being hands-on as a leader. We'll go on break now, and right after the break, we'll hear so much more from Deaconess Ife. Don't change this dial.
When it comes to the things of God, you do not need assumptions, you need truth. And that's why every week on Modification, my friends and I will come together to listen to a message from our man of God, Pastor Chris and Hpbtw, because it's that truth that gives us clarity.
Welcome back. We've been talking about leading for execution, and we're looking at it from this perspective because we're looking at leadership, and we're looking at the primary role of the leader. The primary role of the leader is getting things done, and not just getting things done, but getting things done on time. The leader has to be a servant. He has to be someone who is hands-on. He has to be service personified. That's what Jesus said in Matthew 20 from verse 26. And I've been discussing this concept with Deaconess Ife, and we're going to continue right now. And right now, Deaconess, it is said that a leader must know his people. In other words, know the people you are working with. Know them as individuals so that you can get the best out of each person, since it's your responsibility to achieve the outcome of every task. Then secondly, it's also said that a leader must have an understanding of the business. So one, you know the people you are working with. Secondly, know the business. Why is this so very key for leadership?
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Pastor. Understanding the people you work with is very, very, in fact, is very vital. Because leadership is all about people.
Yes.
You lead. And you have to understand the things they do. You have to understand their strengths, the areas of their strengths, so that you know how to involve them in the vision, in the goals or targets you want to achieve. Whereby the understanding is lacking, there will be a gap as per se. So you need to fill in this gap. You need to understand them. You need to build on the relationship you have with them. Because if they are happy, they give you their best. They deliver their best.
The leader has to understand the business. He has to know the people. He has to also have an understanding of what, for example, you are in the taekwondo sporting field and you are a leader in this area. Why do you have to be knowledgeable in taekwondo to lead those in taekwondo? Why didn't they bring someone from boxing? Why do you have to understand your field or understand your business?
Pastor, the leader is the vision bearer.
Yes.
So you must have a knowledge of what you want to establish. You must have a knowledge of what you want to communicate. You cannot give what you don't have.
Wow.
You cannot give what you don't know.
Yes.
So you must be knowledgeable in the area, in the field of your specialty.
Yes.
Then, when you are actually making your plans, when you're actually setting out your goals and targets, the things you tend to achieve, you see that it will actually anticipated it too.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Why? Because you are knowledgeable. And that is why, as a leader, you can't limit yourself to what you know. You have to improve yourself.
Yes.
You have to study. You have to go for training. You have to keep, you have to keep abreast with the trends of the organization or the business you are actually in. You understand? Because if you are lacking behind, you see that the organization will actually suffer.
Yes.
So you have to keep abreast with the trends of events in your environment.
There's this aspect of leadership that many leaders find challenging. The aspect of following through. A man of God tells us a leader is not supposed to abdicate. You understand? In other words, it's your responsibility to see that the task is done. But many leaders feel that once they have delegated a responsibility or an assignment to somebody, it's the responsibility of that person to carry it out till the finality of the project. But there's an aspect in leadership that talks about follow through. Even after delegation, it's the responsibility of the leader to ensure that that task.
Yes,
Yes,
Pastor.
yes.
The primary role of a leader is also to raise people. So when you give responsibility, you have to monitor. You have to ensure that what you ask your subordinate to do is actually done. The way, the manner, the purpose, the how of how it should be. Because if anything goes wrong, nothing will be required of that person. You will take the responsibility. So you have to monitor, ensure that it's done properly. You understand?
Yes.
You have to ensure, in as much as you are raising, because you have to actually, there's something that one of my colleagues said. He said, a leader without a successor is a failure, because definitely you must raise people, you must raise leaders. But at the same time, you cannot just relax.
Yes.
You understand? You have to follow through. You have to monitor. Because I said earlier, I said the leader is the vision bearer. You know what the task is ahead of you.
Yes.
You know what you expect to get from that responsibility. So you have to monitor.
Wow. That is so beautiful. The leader is the vision bearer. The leader has the responsibility of raising people to accomplish tasks. But even at raising people, it's your responsibility to monitor, to follow through, to ensure that the responsibilities are achieved. Because you will be to take the blame. The leader takes the blame if the project fails. And that's why you find out that in certain industries and in certain sports, if the team fails, it's the leader that goes for it, not some player in the team, not some officials in the team, is the leader. Wow, Dickiness. There's something that is usually talked about too when we're looking at leading for execution. They usually say the leader must be realistic. He must insist on realism. You know, there are certain leaders that love to hear stories and things that make them feel okay, but it's not the real picture of the situation. So it is said that leaders must insist on realism. You must know the true picture so that with the true picture of the situation, you can take the right decisions, not just what you want to hear.
You know, Pastor, I said something earlier.
Yes.
I said something about a leader being a thorough organizer and a record keeper. A leader has to be diligent in that area, the area of record keeping, because you need to evaluate your performances, your achievements, because at the beginning of the business year or whatever year, you set targets that you tend to achieve, and you actually map out strategies on how you tend to achieve this. So as time goes on, you need to go back. You need to go through your records. You need to evaluate. You can't afford to be careless because your decisions are based on the facts on ground. It's not based on what somebody say. It's not based on somebody's opinion. It is based on your own evaluation of situations. That is how you make your decision.
Yes. Wow. That means a leader who leads for execution, who leads to get things done, must know his people, like
Yes.
we've said, must understand the business,
Yes.
must insist on realism,
Yes.
wow, and must learn to follow through.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. This is just incredible. Then there's also this aspect. I think it's something to do with collaboration. In other words, maximizing the strengths of everybody in the team. That's an essential part of leadership too, isn't it? That is being able to collaborate with others and maximizing the strengths of everyone so that with the strengths of everyone pulling together, the leader can achieve effectively. Is that not right, Dickiness?
Yes.
Wow, this is so beautiful. We've looked at some very essential qualities of a leader, and we've discovered some very, very important things that a leader who leads for execution must possess. And leadership is all about leading for execution. It's all about ensuring that things are done, and not just being done, but being done on time. Thank you, Dickiness, for joining me on the show today.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Wow. You've heard some very interesting bit on leadership, leading for execution. The leader leads to get things done. The leader leads to produce results. The leader is a service person. This is just so beautiful. There is still so much more you can pick from the concept of leadership. I would like you to get on the Pastor Chris Digital Library. There's so much on leadership. In fact, many of the teachings there are on leadership development and leadership effectiveness. So get on the Pastor Chris Digital Library and get materials on leadership to help build your. Remember, I've always said on this show, the greatest coach, the greatest mentor in the world is Pastor Chris Oyakilome. Get mentored and get coached. See you in the next edition. We'll be looking at something very, very beautiful. Watch your while. You're turning out a high performance individual generating maximum value. God bless you. See you next episode. Welcome to the Performance Corner. This is the point where we take a word or look at a concept that you must take home, something very fundamental and important in helping you generate value. Today we're going to be looking at two words but put together to form one word: emotional and intelligence. That is emotional intelligence. What's emotional intelligence? It's simply becoming aware of your personal emotions and its impact on others. You know, when you work in an organization, not even working in an organization, when you deal with people, you're dealing with people with different emotions, and you also are considered with your own emotions. And so it's important to be aware of your emotions so that you can manage it effectively and develop meaningful relationships rather than develop relationships that are poisonous. You develop meaningful relationships. You can work with people, you can collaborate effectively, you can synergize. So emotional intelligence is very, very important. The understanding of your emotional intelligence is so important in achieving success in business or in whatever you do, achieving success in relating and dealing with people. So go home today with the understanding of the word emotional intelligence. God bless you.